Internet push called Unity 08, aimed at forming a dream team ticket made up of a Democrat and a Republican presidential candidate. Carrie Lucas is vice president of policy for the Independent Women's Forum, also author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Feminism. Julie Roginski is a Democratic strategist. And Julie, it kind of sounds to me like a political love fest, and I'm just not sure anybody's going to buy it.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we've had
Internet push called Unity 08, aimed at forming a dream team ticket made up of a Democrat and a Republican presidential candidate. Carrie Lucas is vice president of policy for the Independent Women's Forum, also author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Feminism. Julie Roginski is a Democratic strategist. And Julie, it kind of sounds to me like a political love fest, and I'm just not sure anybody's going to buy it.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we've had this before. We've had Ross Perot running. We've had a Green Party, Ralph Nader running. Every few years you have somebody emerging who's promising to be above politics and above the fray. But I think we're a two-party system for better or worse. And these candidacies usually tend to take attention away from the candidate that somebody's most likely to be. Unity 08, I think, kind of wants somebody like Michael Bloomberg to potentially be their nominee. That would obviously hurt the Democratic candidate. Or somebody like Chuck Hagel to be their nominee, which would obviously hurt the Republican candidate.
Yeah, and I guess you're talking about a third party about this thing, Carrie. And, the truth of the matter is that a lot of Democrats would like to kind of lean toward a third party, but they're so afraid that it might split the vote, and they just kind of hand it back over to the GOP.
Absolutely. I agree with Julie that I think that while there's always talk about this, it's really hard to imagine someone emerging who wasn't from one of the two major parties to take over the White House. But it doesn't take much to be a spoiler. We saw that most vividly in 2000, but also in 2004. If there's a candidate who can come out and get just tens of thousands of votes, it can swing different electoral states in a race this tight or in a country this divided. They can play a role, if only in tipping the margins one way or the other.
And it's almost like starting from scratch because, in these days, you got to get the money going. You got to get your base involved. You can't just kind of start from scratch and say, you know what, we're going to start a third party over here, and we're going to raise a bunch of dough over here on the side. You can't. You need base. You need the base to translate to money, and it just can't happen that quickly, at least not in this day and age,
well,
right?
That's why you have all these bazillionaire candidates coming out, like Michael Bloomberg, for example, who's so attractive to people because he's so wealthy, like Ross Perot.
Well, he could finance his own campaign there, but the bottom line is that Ross Perot could too, and
sure.
Just because you have the money doesn't mean you have the votes behind you. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand when you're raising campaign funds.
Of course, but that's why people like this are so attracted to the third party movement, because the third parties don't have the institutional financial support, the institutional, party building support, and money talks in politics. And of course, that's why somebody like a Michael Bloomberg is so attractive to a third party candidacy.
And Carrie, because the money talks, now what we're left with is we got those on the left, the far left, and we got those on the far right that are really kind of controlling, at least in the early going in the primaries, controlling their respective parties. And those who are in the middle are kind of lost in the mix.
Well, I think it's a real shame. That's a consequence of our government regulation of speech, which is our campaign finance laws, which make it next to impossible for a third-party candidate who isn't a millionaire or even a billionaire to really compete. So I think we should look at changing some of the campaign finance laws to make it easier for individuals to run for office. Some of the caps that are on individual giving really do put a damper on the potential for third-party politics, which I think could be healthy.
Well, let's play fantasy politics right now just for a second while I've got you here. Let's throw up. We've got now. What do you think about these matchups here? Do we have these on the screen? Yeah, we're talking about McCain and Hillary. Would they make a good duo, Julie?
A good duo?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think they agree on much of anything, so probably not. But look, the vice president, the vice president's only as powerful as the president wants to make him or her. And of course, Dick Cheney's so powerful because he's been empowered by this president. You've also had a vice president back during FDR's days who called the vice presidential office nothing more than a warm bucket of spit.
Oh, okay, Carrie. Now, how about Obama and Chuck Hagel? Chuck Hagel, the anti-war GOP guy, Barack Obama, match made in heaven?
I mean, that seems a little more realistic than Hillary and McCain. But I think that all these are real long shots. Sure. Sometimes I think that we tend to ignore the fact that the parties, it's not just partisanship that people disagree and why there are two very distinct sides. It's because we don't agree on a lot of issues, a lot of the vision for the country. So I don't think that it's as easy as just marrying two people from different parties and saying get along, because there's actual real reasons why they are divided. So I don't think that any of these conflicts are
Carrie and I should run because we actually agree on everything here today.
We got to go. Why can't we all just get along? Julie Roginski, Carrie Lucas, thank you both.
Thank you.